What would you do if your own mother called you a liar when you begged her to protect you? 9-year-old Amara thought her mother's love was unbreakable, until the day Mama Joy brought home Uncle Ben, a man whose kind smile hid a darkness that would shatter everything Amara believed about safety, trust, and family. This is the story of a little girl whose voice was silenced by the person who should have been her greatest defender, and how she found the courage to speak her truth when no one else would listen. But before we begin, I need to warn you, this story will break your heart before it heals it. Amara was only 9 years old when her world began to change. She lived with her mother, Mama Joy, in a small yellow house at the edge of town. Their house was not big, but it was filled with warmth. Mama Joy sold fruits in the market, and though they didn't have much, Amara always felt safe beside her mother. Every morning, Amara would help Mama Joy arrange oranges, bananas, and mangoes into neat little piles before school. Mama Joy often smiled at her and said, "Amara, you are my sunshine. Without you, my world would be dark." Amara believed it. Those words stayed with her all day long. But life was not always easy. Some nights, Amara would hear Mama Joy crying quietly in the kitchen. When she asked, "Mama, why are you sad?" her mother would quickly wipe her eyes and reply, "Don't worry, my child. Everything will be fine." One day, Mama Joy came home with a man. He was tall, with sharp eyes and a deep voice. His name was Uncle Ben. "Amara," Mama Joy said cheerfully, "this is Uncle Ben. He will be staying with us for a while." Amara looked at him shyly and whispered, "Good evening, sir." Uncle Ben gave a smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. At first, everything seemed normal. Uncle Ben helped Mama Joy carry heavy baskets from the market. He bought Amara new sandals for school. Mama Joy looked happier than she had in years. Amara thought, maybe this is good. Maybe we will be like a real family now. But slowly, things began to change. Uncle Ben's smile disappeared when Mama Joy was not around. He would scold Amara for small mistakes, like dropping a spoon or forgetting to close the door. "You're such a troublesome child," he would hiss. Amara didn't understand why he was so different when Mama Joy was not there. She tried to be extra careful, but nothing pleased him. When she told Mama Joy, "Uncle Ben is mean to me," her mother only laughed and said, "Oh, Amara, you are imagining things. He bought you sandals, remember? He cares for us." Amara wanted to believe her mother. But in her little heart, she felt something was not right. One rainy night, when the thunder roared and lightning flashed across the sky, Amara sat quietly in her room. She heard footsteps approaching. It was Uncle Ben. His voice was low and cold as he whispered her name. Amara's heart raced. She didn't want to be near him. She wished her mother would come and protect her. The next morning, Amara told Mama Joy what happened. Her voice trembled as she said, "Mama, I don't like Uncle Ben. He scares me." Mama Joy frowned and shook her head. "Amara, stop making up stories. You must respect him. He is the man of the house now." Those words pierced Amara's heart. She had always trusted her mother, but now she felt unseen. Why won't she believe me? Days turned into weeks. Uncle Ben's unkindness grew stronger. He would glare at her at the dinner table. Sometimes, he would whisper harsh words when Mama Joy wasn't listening. Amara tried to speak up again, but Mama Joy always dismissed her. "Children sometimes lie," Mama Joy told her friend one afternoon, while Amara sat nearby, tears in her eyes. "She just doesn't want to share me with another person." Amara felt small, like her voice had no power. She began to draw pictures in her notebook, pictures of a little bird trapped in a cage. That bird was her. She longed for freedom, but no one could hear her silent cry. One Sunday after church, Amara stayed behind while the choir practiced. She sat alone on a bench, hugging her school bag tightly. The pastor's wife, Mama Grace, noticed her. "Why are you sitting here all by yourself, my dear?" she asked gently. Amara looked up, her eyes watery. She wanted to speak, but her lips trembled. Finally, she whispered, "Nobody believes me." Mama Grace sat beside her and placed a hand on her shoulder. "Tell me, child. I am listening. Amara hesitated, then began to share her story in broken words. She didn't say everything, but she said enough for Mama Grace to understand that something was wrong at home. Mama Grace's face grew serious. She said, Amara, your voice matters. Never think that no one cares. I believe you. Those words felt like fresh water to a thirsty soul. For the first time, someone listened. Someone believed her. When Amara got home that evening, Uncle Ben was waiting at the door. His eyes were dark, and his voice was sharp. Where have you been? He demanded. Amara's heart pounded, but she remembered Mama Grace's words, your voice matters. She stood tall, even though her knees shook, and said, I am not afraid of you. For a brief moment, Uncle Ben looked shocked. Then he scowled and turned away. Amara didn't know what the future would bring, but she knew one thing for sure, her story was not over. Her voice would not be silenced. That night, as she lay in bed, she whispered to herself, one day, Mama will believe me. One day, everything will change. And with that small spark of hope, Amara drifted into sleep, dreaming of brighter days. Amara woke up early the next morning to the sound of Mama Joy humming in the kitchen. The smell of fried plantain filled the house. For a moment, Amara almost forgot the fear in her heart. She rushed to the kitchen and hugged her mother from behind. Mama, I love you, she whispered. Mama Joy smiled and patted her head. I love you too, my sunshine. Now wash your face and get ready for school. Amara nodded, but deep inside she wished her mother could see what she truly felt. She wanted to tell her everything again, but Mama Joy had already dismissed her words so many times. Maybe if I stay quiet, things will get better, Amara thought. At school, Amara sat in her classroom, staring at the blackboard. Her teacher, Mr. Chaik, noticed that she was not paying attention. After class, he called her gently. Amara, is everything all right? You look sad these days. Amara forced a smile. I'm fine, sir. But she wasn't fine. She carried her fear like a heavy load on her small shoulders. Every time she thought about Uncle Ben's sharp eyes, her stomach twisted. When she returned home, Uncle Ben was sitting in the living room, reading the newspaper. He looked up at her with that cold stare. Did you sweep the yard today? He asked. Yes, sir, Amara replied softly. He stood and walked outside. When he came back, he frowned. You missed a corner. Lazy girl. His voice cut like a knife. Amara wanted to argue, but she remembered Mama Joy's words, respect him. He is the man of the house. So she lowered her eyes and whispered, sorry, sir. Later that evening, Amara found herself in her small room, drawing again. She sketched another picture of the little bird in a cage. This time, she drew a key line just outside the cage, as if freedom was close but out of reach. Suddenly, her door creaked open. Uncle Ben stood there. Amara's heart skipped a beat. She clutched her drawing book tightly. What are you hiding? He asked. Nothing, she replied quickly. He stepped closer, his shadow falling across the room. Amara's hands shook. But then, as if by miracle, Mama Joy's voice called from the kitchen. Ben, please help me with the water container. Uncle Ben's face hardened, but he turned and left. Amara exhaled in relief. That night, Amara couldn't sleep. She kept hearing Mama Grace's words, your voice matters. Should she tell her again? Should she try to speak louder? But each time she tried, a fear rose in her throat like a heavy stone. The following Sunday, Amara saw Mama Grace again after church. She held Amara's hand and whispered, how are you, child? Amara bit her lip, her eyes filling with tears. It's worse, she whispered back. Mama Grace's face grew worried. She squeezed Amara's hand. Don't give up. I will find a way to help you. Amara didn't fully understand what Mama Grace meant, but those words gave her a small spark of hope. At home, however, things grew darker. Uncle Ben started finding ways to be alone with Amara. He would ask her to fetch things from the store, or to stay behind while Mama Joy went to the market. Each time, Amora's heart pounded in fear. One afternoon, when Mama Joy had gone to buy supplies, Uncle Ben cornered Amara in the living room. His eyes glared down at her, full of anger. "You think you can talk about me behind my back?" he hissed. Amara froze. "I didn't." "Don't lie," he barked. Her hands shook. She remembered Mama Grace's words again. She took a deep breath and said, "I'm not afraid of you. Someone believes me." Uncle Ben's eyes widened, then narrowed. He leaned close and whispered, "Your mother will never believe you. And without her, no one else matters." Those words cut deeper than any wound. Amora's eyes burned with tears, but she refused to cry in front of him. She turned her face away. When Mama Joy returned, Amara ran to her, clinging tightly. "Mama, please, can I sleep in your room tonight?" she begged. Mama Joy laughed gently. "Why? Are you afraid of the dark again? You are growing, Amara. You should be brave." "But Mama." "No buts," Mama Joy said, patting her cheek. "Uncle Ben and I need our space too. Now go to your room." Amora's heart sank. She wanted to scream, to cry, to tell her everything. But the words got stuck in her throat. That night, she lay awake staring at the ceiling. She whispered to herself, "One day, Mama will see. One day she will believe me." In her dream, she saw the little bird again. This time, the cage door was slightly open, but the bird was too weak to fly out. Amara woke with tears on her pillow. The next morning, Mama Joy noticed her puffy eyes. "Amara, are you crying again? You really must stop this habit. Life is not so hard. Be strong." Amara nodded silently. She had no words left. But deep in her heart, she knew she could not give up. She had to hold on to Mama Grace's promise. Someone believed her. Someone cared. And maybe, just maybe, that would be the key to opening the cage. Amara sat on the school bench during break, chewing slowly on a piece of bread. Children around her laughed and played, but she felt far away from their joy. Her heart was heavy with secrets. Her friend, Chika, noticed her quietness. "Amara, why don't you play today?" Amara forced a smile. "I'm just tired." But Chika wasn't convinced. "You're always tired these days. Did something happen?" Amara shook her head quickly. She wanted to tell Chika the truth, but fear held her tongue. What if she doesn't believe me either? She thought. At home that afternoon, Uncle Ben sat on the porch sharpening a knife. The sound of metal against stone made Amara's skin crawl. He looked up and smirked when their eyes met. Amara quickly turned away and went to her room, her heart racing. Later, while Mama Joy cooked in the kitchen, Amara quietly whispered, "Mama, can we talk?" Mama Joy stirred the pot without looking at her. "Yes, what is it?" Amara took a deep breath. "Mama, I don't feel safe with Uncle Ben. He scares me." Mama Joy sighed and turned to face her. "Amara, again. How many times must I tell you? Ben is trying his best. You just don't want to accept him. Please, don't make up stories." Amara's lips trembled. "But Mama." "Enough." Mama Joy said firmly. "I won't hear another word about this. Respect him, or you will make me very unhappy." Those words pierced Amara's soul. She wanted to cry out, but instead she walked back to her room quietly. She sat on her bed and hugged her pillow tightly. Why won't Mama believe me? She thought. That night, Amara lay awake. The moonlight cast shadows on the wall, and every creak of the house made her flinch. Then she heard its slow footsteps in the hallway. Her door creaked open. Uncle Ben stood there, his face half hidden in the dark. Amara's heart pounded like a drum. She wanted to scream, but fear gripped her throat. "Go back to sleep," Uncle Ben whispered coldly, before closing the door. Amara lay frozen. She knew he was trying to scare her, to remind her that he was always watching. Tears slid down her cheeks silently. The next day at school, Amora's teacher, Mr. Chike, noticed the dark circles under her eyes. "Amara, are you sleeping well?" he asked gently. She shook her head. "Not really." He crouched beside her. "You can tell me if something is wrong at home." Amara hesitated. She wanted to tell him everything, but fear held her back again. What if Uncle Ben found out? What if Mama Joy became angry? So she whispered only, "I have bad dreams." Mr. Chike sighed and patted her shoulder. "It will be all right. Dreams cannot harm you." But Amara knew her nightmares were real. That Sunday, she found Mama Grace again after church. This time, she couldn't hold back her tears. She clung to Mama Grace's dress and whispered, "He came to my room at night. I'm so scared." Mama Grace's eyes grew serious. She knelt and wiped Amara's tears. "Did you tell your mother again?" "She doesn't believe me," Amara sobbed. Mama Grace hugged her tightly. "Listen to me, Amara. You are not alone. I believe you. And I will not stay silent." Amara looked up with hope and fear. "What will you do?" Mama Grace smiled gently. "I will speak to your mother. But promise me, stay strong. Do not lose hope." Amara nodded weakly. For the first time, she felt like someone was ready to fight for her. That evening, as the sun set, Mama Grace came to their house. She greeted Mama Joy warmly. "Sister Joy, I just wanted to check on you and Amara." Mama Joy smiled. "We are fine, thank God. How about you?" "I'm well," Mama Grace replied. Then she glanced at Amara and asked carefully, "But, is Amara truly fine?" Mama Joy frowned. "Why do you ask?" Mama Grace sighed. "Because she told me something troubling. She feels unsafe around Ben." Mama Joy's face hardened. "Oh, so she's telling others now." "Amara just doesn't want to accept him. She's making up stories, Grace. Please don't encourage her." Amara's heart sank. She wanted to cry, "No, Mama. Please believe me." But the words stuck in her throat. Mama Grace placed a hand on Mama Joy's arm. "Joy, sometimes children see things we do not. Please, just listen to her. Don't dismiss her feelings." But Mama Joy shook her head. "Grace, you don't understand. Ben is good to us. Without him, life would be harder. Amara is just jealous." Mama Grace sighed, defeated. She gave Amara a gentle look and whispered, "Stay strong, child. I will not stop praying for you." After Mama Grace left, Mama Joy turned to Amara with angry eyes. "Amara, why did you tell her such things? Do you want to disgrace me?" Tears spilled down Amara's cheeks. "Mama, I'm telling the truth." "Enough!" Mama Joy shouted. "Not another word." Amara ran to her room, her chest heavy with sorrow. She felt trapped in a world where her truth was invisible. That night, she dreamed again of the little bird in the cage. This time, the bird was crying out loudly, but no one could hear. The sound was swallowed by the wind. When Amara woke, she whispered to herself, "One day, someone will hear me. One day, this cage will break." And though her voice was small, the hope inside her heart grew stronger, like a candle refusing to die in the dark. The days in Amara's small yellow house grew heavier, like clouds before a storm. Uncle Ben walked around with a proud face, pretending to be kind when neighbors were watching, but showing his true harshness when no one else was there. Mama Joy seemed happier than ever. She smiled when Uncle Ben gave her small gifts or helped her carry baskets from the market. She often said, "Amara, you must be grateful. God has finally blessed us with a man who cares." Amara forced herself to nod, though her heart screamed the truth. She knew Uncle Ben wore a mask of kindness, and only she could see the cracks. At school, Amara's sadness deepened. She didn't laugh like the other children, and she often sat alone. Chika tried many times to cheer her up, but Amara's smiles never lasted. One afternoon, while the children played football, Amara drew in the sand with a stick. She sketched the same picture she always drew, a bird in a cage. Mr. Chike passed by and paused. "That's a beautiful bird," he said softly. Amara looked up, startled. "It's not free," she whispered. Mr. Chike frowned slightly but didn't push further. "One day, maybe it will be," he said, before walking away. His words echoed in Amara's heart. One day, maybe it will be. That evening, Uncle Ben came home earlier than usual. He sat in the living room, flipping through a magazine. When Amara walked past him, he muttered, "Clumsy child." Amara clenched her fist. She wanted to shout back, "I'm not clumsy. I'm not weak." But fear swallowed her courage. Later that night, while Mama Joy hummed happily in the kitchen, Amara sat quietly on her bed. She remembered Mama Grace's words, "Stay strong." She wondered, how long must I be strong? The next Sunday, after church, Mama Grace called Amara aside again. She bent down and looked into her eyes. "Amara, I will not stop believing you. But I need you to be patient. Sometimes, truth takes time to shine." Amara nodded. "But Mama doesn't listen." Mama Grace sighed deeply. "Your mother loves you, child. But sometimes love makes people blind. She wants to believe she found happiness in Ben, so she closes her eyes to the truth." Those words cut through Amara's heart like a blade. She didn't want her mother to be blind. She wanted her mother to see, to believe, to protect her. That night, after Mama Joy went to bed, Uncle Ben walked down the hallway. His heavy footsteps made Amara's heart pound. He stopped at her door and tapped lightly, almost like a warning. Amara froze. She whispered to herself, "Don't open, don't open." She pulled her blanket over her head and prayed for morning. When the sun rose, she dragged herself to the kitchen with tired eyes. Mama Joy looked at her closely. "Amara, why do you always look so restless? Are you not sleeping?" Amara wanted to scream, because of Uncle Ben. But when she opened her mouth, the words came out softer, "I have bad dreams." Mama Joy shook her head. "Pray before you sleep. That will help." Amara lowered her eyes. She doesn't want to know the truth, she thought. At school, Amara began writing her feelings in a secret notebook. She wrote about the shadows in her house, about her longing to be free, about the pain of not being believed. She wrote poems about the bird in the cage, and sometimes about a light she hoped would come one day. One day, Chika found Amara crying behind the classroom. She sat beside her and asked, "Why are you always sad?" Amara wiped her eyes quickly. "Nothing." Chika frowned. "Friends don't keep secrets. If something is wrong, you can tell me." Amara's lips trembled, but she whispered, "If I tell you, you won't believe me." Chika held her hand. "I will believe you." Amara stared at her, searching for honesty in her friend's eyes. Then, slowly, she whispered, "My stepfather is not nice to me. But Mama doesn't believe me." Chika's eyes widened. "Really? That's bad." She squeezed Amara's hand tightly. "I believe you." For the first time, Amara felt the warmth of friendship wrap around her. It wasn't a solution, but it was hope. But when she went home that evening, hope quickly faded. Uncle Ben scolded her for walking too loudly. He threw her school bag aside and barked, "Respect me, or you regret it." Mama Joy rushed in. "Ben, please, she's only a child." Uncle Ben softened immediately and smiled at Mama Joy. "I only want her to learn discipline, Joy." Mama Joy sighed. "Amara, please try harder." Amara's heart broke. She could see how easily Uncle Ben tricked her mother. He wore kindness like a mask, and Mama Joy could not see behind it. That night, Amara prayed silently. "God, please, let Mama see the truth. Let her believe me." In her dreams, the bird in the cage flapped its wings harder. The cage shook, and the key rolled a little closer. When she woke, she whispered to herself, "One day, the cage will open." The market was crowded that Saturday morning. Mama Joy and Uncle Ben stood side by side selling fruits, their voices loud and cheerful. Customers smiled at them, saying things like, "What a happy couple," and "Your daughter must be so proud." Amara sat quietly in the corner, arranging mangoes in neat rows. She didn't feel proud. She felt like shouting, "It's all a lie." But her voice stayed locked inside her chest. As the day went on, Mama Joy kept laughing at Uncle Ben's jokes. She seemed lighter, freer, as if the struggles of her past had disappeared. Amara wanted her mother to be happy, but she couldn't understand why Mama's happiness had to mean her own pain. On the way home, Uncle Ben carried the heavy baskets while Mama Joy hummed. Amara dragged her feet behind them, her eyes on the dusty road. That night, Amara sat at the dining table, pushing her food around with her spoon. Mama Joy noticed and frowned. "Amara, why are you not eating?" "I'm not hungry," Amara whispered. "Don't waste food," Mama Joy said sharply. "You should thank God that you have something to eat." Uncle Ben smirked from across the table. "She doesn't appreciate anything." Amara's chest tightened. She wanted to scream, "I appreciate Mama, not you." But she stayed quiet. Later, in her room, she opened her secret notebook and wrote, "When I speak, no one listens. When I cry, no one sees. But I will keep writing. Maybe the paper will understand me." The next day, after church, Mama Grace approached Mama Joy again. "Sister Joy," she began gently, "I'm worried about Amara. She doesn't smile anymore." Mama Joy sighed. "Grace, please. She's just a child. Children exaggerate. She will be fine." Mama Grace's eyes darkened with concern. "Joy, I beg you. Please listen to her. Something is not right." Mama Joy shook her head stubbornly. "You are reading too much into it. Ben is good to us. Amara just doesn't want to share me." Amara, standing nearby, felt her throat burn. She wanted to cry out, "I'm not lying." But fear kept her silent. That evening, while washing dishes, Amara accidentally dropped a plate. It shattered on the floor. Uncle Ben stormed into the kitchen, his face hard. "Careless child," he barked. Amara froze, her hands shaking. Mama Joy rushed in and sighed. "Ben, please, she didn't mean it. She needs to learn." Uncle Ben snapped, glaring at Amara. Amara's heart pounded. She wished her mother would take her side, just once, without excusing him. But Mama Joy only shook her head and said softly, "Amara, be careful next time." That night, as Amara lay in bed, tears soaked her pillow. Why can't she see? Why can't she believe me? At school the next day, Amara looked so tired that Mr. Chike asked her to stay behind after class. "Amara, you're worrying me. Do you want to talk?" She hesitated, then whispered, "If I tell you, will you believe me?" Mr. Chike leaned forward. "Yes. I will believe you." Her eyes filled with tears. "My stepfather is not good to me. But Mama doesn't believe me." Mr. Chike's face grew serious. He didn't ask for details, but he said, "Amara, thank you for trusting me. I will keep this in mind." Amara felt a tiny spark of relief. Now Mama Grace and Mr. Chike both believed her. The bird in her drawings no longer seemed completely alone. But at home, the shadows grew darker. Uncle Ben found ways to scold her more often. He called her names when Mama Joy wasn't listening. And every time Amara tried to tell her mother, the same words came back: "Stop lying. Respect him." One evening, after another long day, Mama Joy sat beside Amara on her bed. "My sunshine," she said gently, "why are you always fighting with Ben? He helps us. Can't you just accept him?" Amara's lips trembled. "Mama, he's not what you think." Mama Joy shook her head. "You're imagining things. Please, don't make me choose between you and him." Those words pierced Amara's heart. She felt like her mother had placed her behind Uncle Ben, like his presence mattered more than her voice. After Mama Joy left, Amara opened her notebook and wrote, "Maybe I am invisible. Maybe Mama loves him more than me. But I will keep writing. One day, someone will read my words and know the truth. That night, she dreamed again of the little bird. The cage door was wider now, but the bird still hesitated. Its wings were weak, but its eyes burned with determination. When Amara woke, she whispered, "One day, I will fly. One day, Mama will see." And though the house was filled with shadows, the candle of hope in her heart refused to die. The morning sun filled the small kitchen with a golden glow. Amara sat at the table, her eyes heavy from crying most of the night. She picked at the bread on her plate, not really hungry. Her mother hummed while washing dishes, as if nothing was wrong. To her mother, everything seemed fine, but inside Amara's heart was a storm. After breakfast, Amara slipped away to her room. She closed the door gently, sat at her small desk, and pulled out a piece of paper. For weeks, she had thought of a way to let her feelings out without fear. Talking did not help. Shouting did not help. But maybe writing would. She picked up her pencil and began to write. "Dear Diary," she started, though it wasn't really a diary. "I am tired of being hurt. I tell Mama, but she doesn't believe me. She says I make things up. But my heart knows the truth, and it hurts. I am afraid to sleep at night. I am afraid to be alone in the house. I just want someone to listen to me. I just want to be safe." Tears splashed onto the paper, making the words blur. She wiped her face and continued writing. "If anyone ever finds this, please believe me. Please help me. I am not lying. I just want to be free." When she finished, she folded the letter and hid it inside her school notebook. She wasn't sure if anyone would ever read it, but somehow, just writing the words gave her strength. That afternoon at school, her teacher, Miss Esther, noticed Amara's quietness. Normally, Mary loved answering questions and helping her classmates. But that day, she barely spoke. Miss Esther asked her to stay back after class. "Amara, is everything okay?" she asked gently. Amara shook her head. She wanted to speak, but her throat felt locked. Instead, she opened her notebook and slid the folded letter across the desk. Miss Esther looked at her with kind eyes, then slowly unfolded the paper. Her face grew serious as she read the words. She looked back at Amara, her voice soft but steady. "Thank you for trusting me, Amara. I believe you." Those words made Amara's chest ache with relief. Someone finally believed her. For the first time in a long while, she didn't feel completely alone. Miss Esther placed a comforting hand on Amara's shoulder. "You are very brave for writing this. I promise, you don't have to carry this burden by yourself anymore." Amara's eyes filled with fresh tears, but this time, they were tears of hope. She whispered, "Thank you." That night, Amara lay in bed, clutching her pillow. She didn't know what would happen next, but something inside her told her life was about to change. She had finally been heard. The next day at school, Miss Esther walked into class with her usual warm smile, but her heart was heavy. All night she had thought about Amara's letter. She knew it wasn't safe to keep such a secret hidden. She had to do something to protect her student. When the last bell rang, Miss Esther asked Amara to stay back again. "Amara," she said softly, "I'm going to talk to someone who can help. You don't need to be scared. You did nothing wrong. All you did was tell the truth, and that takes courage." Amara's eyes widened. "But, what if Mama gets angry? What if no one believes me again?" Her voice shook like a leaf in the wind. Miss Esther bent down so their eyes were level. "I believe you. And there are people whose job is to keep children safe. They will listen. You are not alone anymore." That afternoon, Miss Esther visited the school counselor. She gave the letter to her and explained what Amara had been going through. The counselor's face grew serious. "This is important," she said. "We must make sure Mary is safe. I'll contact the right people immediately." Amara didn't understand all the words the adults used, but she could see they were taking her seriously. For the first time, grown-ups were standing on her side. Later that week, a kind woman named Mrs. Ode came to school. She introduced herself as a social worker. She sat with Amara in a quiet room filled with colorful drawings on the wall. Her voice was calm, like a gentle river. "Amara, I'm here to listen," Mrs. Ode said. "You don't have to be afraid. You can tell me anything." Amara hesitated, but then she remembered Miss Esther's words. "You are not alone anymore." Slowly, she began to share her story. She told Mrs. Ode about the fear, about her mother not believing her, and about the nights she cried herself to sleep. When she finished, Mrs. Ode nodded. "You are very brave, Amara. None of this is your fault. You deserve love and safety." Amara felt a warmth in her chest. For so long she had thought maybe she was weak, maybe she was just making trouble. But now she knew she had been strong all along. That evening, Amara went home not knowing what would happen next. But inside her heart, a small light had begun to shine. The truth was finally stepping out of the shadows. The house was quiet when Amara returned from school that Friday evening. The smell of stew filled the air, and her mother was humming softly as she stirred the pot. To anyone passing by, it looked like an ordinary day. But inside Amara's chest, her heart was beating like a drum. She knew things were about to change, and change could feel scary. After dinner, her mother sat down at the small wooden table. Her face looked worried, and her fingers tapped nervously on the surface. "Amara," she said, her voice sharper than usual, "I got a call from your school today. They said you told someone things about this family. About your stepfather." Amara froze. Her spoon clattered onto her plate. She stared at her mother, who was glaring at her with eyes that seemed to search for the truth. "Mama, I told them the truth," Amara whispered. Her voice was barely louder than a breath. Her mother's lips pressed into a thin line. "The truth," she snapped. "Do you know what you've done? You've gone and embarrassed this family. How could you spread such lies? Do you want people to laugh at us?" Tears welled up in Amara's eyes. "Mama, I'm not lying. I'm scared every day. I cry at night. I need you to believe me." But instead of softening, her mother's face grew harder. "Amara, you always make things bigger than they are. You're just a child. You don't understand how hard it is for me to raise you alone. Do you think life is easy? Do you know what people will say if they hear your stories?" Amara's shoulders slumped. Her mother's words cut deeper than a knife. All she wanted was for her mother to hug her, to say she believed her, to say she would protect her. But instead, her mother's anger felt like another wall blocking her way. The silence stretched until it felt heavy enough to crush the room. Then, suddenly, there was a knock at the door. 3 slow knocks, steady and firm. Her mother frowned and got up to open it. Standing outside were 2 people, Mrs. Ode, the social worker, and a man in a neat shirt with a gentle smile. "Good evening," Mrs. Ode said politely. "We are here to talk with you about Amara. May we come in?" Her mother's face turned pale. She glanced back at Amara, then at the visitors. This is not a good time," she stammered. But Mrs. Ade's voice was calm and firm. "I'm afraid it cannot wait. We need to make sure Amara is safe." Reluctantly, her mother stepped aside and let them in. They sat at the table, and the man introduced himself as Mr. Daniel, a child protection officer. He pulled out a small notebook and pen. "Ma'am," he began, "your daughter has been very brave. She shared things that deeply concern us. We are here to listen to both of you and to make sure she is protected." Her mother folded her arms, her eyes blazing. "Protected? From what? She's making things up. She's a child. Children imagine things all the time." Mr. Daniel shook his head gently. "Children may imagine, but they rarely create such painful stories unless they are true. We've spoken to Mary. We've seen her letter. And we believe her." Those words filled the room like thunder. Amara's mother gasped, as though someone had splashed cold water on her. She looked at Amara again, but this time her anger seemed mixed with fear. Amara, she whispered, her voice trembling. Did you really say all that? Amara nodded, her tears falling freely. Mama, I told the truth. I begged you to listen, but you never did. I was so alone. Her mother's hand trembled as it gripped the edge of the table. For the first time, she didn't argue back. Instead, she looked down at the floor, her face heavy with shame. Mrs. Ode leaned forward, her voice gentle but steady. Ma'am, I know this is hard to hear. But your daughter has been suffering. She needs you to be her safe place, not someone who dismisses her fears. It's not too late to do the right thing. For a long moment, no one spoke. The air was thick with tension. Then her mother let out a shaky breath. She covered her face with her hands and began to cry. I thought she was exaggerating, her mother whispered between sobs. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want it to be true. How could I have been so blind? Amara's chest tightened. She had never seen her mother cry like that before. Slowly, she stood up, walked around the table, and placed a small hand on her mother's arm. Mama, she said softly, I just wanted you to believe me. I just wanted to feel safe. Her mother pulled her into a hug, crying into her daughter's hair. I'm so sorry, Amara. I failed you. I should have protected you. I should have listened. Mrs. Ode and Mr. Daniel exchanged a glance, relief softening their faces. This was the first step toward healing. Ma'am, Mr. Daniel said gently, we will work with you to make sure Amara is safe and supported. But there must be changes. The situation at home cannot continue as it has. Her mother nodded quickly. Yes, I'll do anything. I don't want to lose her. I'll do better. Amara clung to her mother, still unsure if this sudden change would last. But for the first time, she felt a spark of hope. Maybe her mother had finally seen the truth. Maybe things could get better. That night, as Amara lay in bed, she thought about the storm that had passed through her home. The storm had shaken everything, but sometimes storms were needed to clear the skies. For the first time in a long while, Amara closed her eyes and fell asleep with a tiny smile on her lips. The truth had finally found light. The days after the storm at home felt strange to Amara. For the first time, people outside the house were stepping in to help. Mrs. Ode visited often, and Mr. Daniel checked on them regularly. The house that once felt like a prison now felt like a place under watch, guarded by unseen eyes that wanted her safe. Amara's mother, who once dismissed her cries, began to change little by little. At first, she looked ashamed all the time. She avoided Amara's eyes and spoke in whispers. But soon, she started trying, really trying, to show Amara that she cared. She cooked Amara's favorite meals, braided her hair carefully in the evenings, and asked about her day at school. One Saturday morning, Mrs. Ode arrived with good news. She sat with Amara and her mother in the living room, her hands folded neatly on her lap. I've arranged for both of you to attend counseling sessions, she explained. Amara needs a safe space to heal, and Mama, you also need support to learn how to listen, protect, and rebuild trust. Amara's mother nodded quickly. Yes, we'll go. I want to do better. I want to understand. Amara wasn't sure what counseling meant, but she trusted Mrs. Ode. If it was meant to help, she was willing to try. The first session was held in a small, cozy office with colorful paintings on the walls. A kind woman named Dr. Mary welcomed them with a smile that made Mary feel safe. She had warm eyes, the kind that seemed to say, you matter. Amara, Dr. Mary said gently, this is a place where you can talk about your feelings. Nothing you say here is wrong. You don't have to be afraid. Amara looked down at her hands, twisting them nervously. What if Mama gets angry again, she whispered. Dr. Mary shook her head. Your mother is here to learn too. She will listen without anger. Right, Mama? Amara's mother wiped her eyes and nodded. Yes, Amara. I promise, no more shouting. No more calling you a liar. I listened this time. For the first time, Amara felt a small bridge forming between them. During these sessions, Amara shared her fears, her sleepless nights, and the time she felt invisible. Sometimes she cried. Sometimes she stayed quiet. And sometimes, she found herself speaking words she didn't even know she had inside her. Each time she spoke, Dr. Mary reminded her, "You are brave." Her mother, on the other hand, had her own lessons to learn. Dr. Mary explained to her how dangerous it was to dismiss a child's cries for help. "Children need protection," Dr. Mary said firmly. "When you didn't believe Amara, you left her alone in her pain. But now, you have the chance to rebuild trust. It won't happen overnight, but it can happen if you show her through actions, not just words." Her mother lowered her head, tears dripping down her cheeks. "I see that now. I thought I was protecting my family's name, but I forgot the most important person in the family, my daughter." Hearing those words made Amara's chest feel warm. She still had doubts, but she also felt a flicker of hope. Maybe her mother was really changing. Outside of counseling, life at home slowly began to shift. Her mother no longer brushed aside her words. If Amara said she was scared, her mother listened. If Amara said she needed space, her mother gave it. There were still hard days, days when the past pain returned like shadows, but now there was a difference. Amara wasn't alone in the darkness anymore. One evening, as they sat together after dinner, her mother held her hand tightly. "Amara," she said softly, "I know I cannot erase the hurt I caused by not believing you. But I promise, from now on, you will never have to fight alone. You will always have me on your side." Amara's eyes filled with tears. "Do you really mean it, Mama?" Her mother nodded firmly. "With all my heart." At school, things improved too. Amara's grades began to rise again. She smiled more often, laughed with her friends, and even joined the choir club. Singing made her feel free, as if her voice could carry her pain away and replace it with hope. Miss Esther noticed the change and often encouraged her. "You shine brighter every day, Amara," she said one afternoon. Still, healing wasn't easy. Some nights, Amara woke up from bad dreams. Sometimes she still felt small and weak. But Dr. Mary reminded her, healing is a journey, not a race. Each step forward is a victory. One of the biggest steps came during a counseling session when Dr. Mary asked Amara's mother to say directly what she had learned. Her mother looked into Amara's eyes and spoke slowly, her voice trembling but strong. "I've learned that being a mother is not just about feeding and clothing you. It's about listening, believing, and protecting you. I failed before, but I will not fail again. I will fight for you, Amara, the way a mother should." Amara burst into tears and hugged her tightly. For the first time, she felt the kind of comfort she had longed for, the comfort of a mother who finally understood. The path to healing was still long, but Amara no longer felt like she was walking it alone. She had her mother by her side, Miss Esther at school, Mrs. Ode and Mr. Daniel watching over her, and Dr. Mary guiding her heart. And most importantly, she had herself, her own courage, her own strength, and her own voice. That night, as she lay in bed, Amara whispered to herself, "I am not weak. I am not invisible. I am brave." For the first time in a long while, she truly believed it. The path to healing had begun. The morning sun poured through the curtains, casting golden stripes across Amara's small room. She stretched in bed and smiled, something she hadn't done in a long time. Today was special. Today marked 6 months since the storm at home, the night when everything had changed. Life wasn't perfect, but it was better. Amara had walked through shadows, but now she was stepping into light. Her mother kept her promise. She no longer dismissed Amara's words. She listened, she cared, and she showed love through both her actions and her eyes. "Mama, can I wear the yellow dress today?" Amara asked as she entered the kitchen. Her mother turned from the stove, her face glowing with warmth. "Of course, my dear," she said, kissing her forehead. "It's your favorite, and it's perfect for today." Today, Amara was going to perform at the school choir concert. She had practiced for weeks, her voice rising strong and clear, like a bird learning to fly after being caged for too long. At school, the hall buzzed with excitement. Parents filled the seats, chatting and smiling. Amara peeked from behind the curtain, her stomach twisting nervously. What if she forgot the words? What if her voice shook? Then she spotted them, her mother sitting in the second row, smiling and clapping already, as if Amara had won before even singing. Beside her sat Miss Esther, her teacher, and even Mrs. Ode, the social worker, who waved kindly when she caught Amara's eye. Amara's heart steadied. She wasn't alone. She had people who believed in her. When the choir began, Amara sang with all her heart. Her voice rose above the others, clear and steady, like sunshine breaking through clouds. Each note carried her story, her pain, her courage, her healing. When the final song ended, the hall erupted in applause. Amara felt tears sting her eyes, but this time they were tears of joy. She had found her voice again, and the world was listening. After the performance, her mother hugged her tightly. "You were wonderful, my Amara," she whispered. "I am so proud of you." Miss Esther added with a smile, "You've always had a strong voice, Amara. Now the world can hear it too." That evening, as they walked home, her mother held her hand the entire way. The street lights flickered on, casting a soft glow on the quiet road. For the first time in a long time, Amara felt safe walking beside her. When they reached home, her mother turned to her with serious eyes. "Amara, I know the past cannot be erased. But I want to promise you something. From this day forward, you will always be my priority. Your safety, your happiness, your dreams, they come first. That is my vow as your mother." Amara squeezed her hand. "Thank you, Mama. That's all I ever wanted." The weeks that followed were filled with small but beautiful changes. Amara's bad dreams came less often. Her laughter rang louder at home. Her mother started attending support meetings for parents, learning new ways to love and protect. Together, they cooked meals, told stories, and even planted flowers in the small garden behind their house. One Saturday, as they knelt in the garden, Amara looked at the tiny green shoots poking out of the soil. "Mama," she said softly, "do you think the flowers will grow tall and strong?" Her mother smiled. "Yes, Amara. Because they have sunlight, water, and care. Just like you." Amara thought about those words long after. She realized she was like those flowers. She had been planted in rocky soil, but with care, she was growing again, taller, stronger, and brighter than before. At school, Amara began helping other children who seemed quiet or sad. One day, she sat next to a younger girl who was crying alone during break time. "It's okay," Amara said gently, handing her a handkerchief. "You can talk to me if you want. Sometimes talking helps." The girl sniffled and whispered, "Thank you." In that moment, Amara felt a new strength inside her. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was helping others, just like Miss Esther and Mrs. Ode had helped her. She had turned her pain into a gift of kindness. Months passed, and the shadows of the past grew fainter. They never disappeared completely, but Amara had learned something important: healing wasn't about forgetting. It was about finding light even while remembering the dark. On her 12th birthday, Amara's mother surprised her with a small cake and a handmade card. On the front, it read, "To my brave girl." Inside, the words made Amara's heart swell with love. "My dearest Amara. You are my light, my reason, my pride. I may have failed you before, but I promise to stand with you always. Thank you for teaching me what true strength looks like. Love always, Mama." Amara hugged her tightly, whispering, "I forgive you, Mama. And I love you." That night, as the stars twinkled outside her window, Amara lay in bed thinking about her journey. She thought about the nights of tears, the days of fear, the storm that had shaken her home, and the path to healing that followed. She realized something powerful: she was no longer just the girl who had suffered. She was the girl who had risen. She was the girl who had found her voice, her courage, and her hope. As she drifted to sleep, a gentle smile played on her lips. Tomorrow was a new day. Tomorrow was a new dawn. And Amara was ready to walk into it, brave, strong, and free. And so, Amara's story reminds us that even in the darkest nights, light can still break through. But this is only one journey. Many more stories, filled with lessons, hope, and courage, are waiting to be told. What happens when another child, another voice, chooses to rise against silence? Join me in the next storytelling episode to find out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss the next chapter of wisdom and truth.